So how on earth do you build and manage an organization that's inventing dozens of super complex technologies all at the same time? I'm talking artificial intelligence, holographic interfaces, cyber defense, the whole shebang. It's a huge challenge, right? Well, today, we're going to dive into a fascinating blueprint for a modern technical empire, a complete command structure designed for massive, coordinated innovation.
The entire system we're about to unpack is really built on this one core idea, which is so perfectly put by its founder. This is not about replacing people with AI. No, it's about a single visionary leader conducting a symphony, where every single player, whether they're human or machine, has a very precise role and moves in perfect rhythm with everyone else.
So how is this whole symphony structured? Well, here's the roadmap. We'll start with the conductor, then we'll move through the different sections of the orchestra, meet the expert musicians, understand the sheet music they're all playing from, and finally see how it all comes together in one living, breathing performance.
Okay, so right at the very top, you have one person, Lester Dubeux. But his title isn't CEO. He's called the Executive Orchestrator and Vision Architect. And that's not just some fancy name. It defines a really unique and absolutely critical function.
And this is the massive problem he's solving. I mean, when you're building everything from new computer languages to XR systems to enterprise AI, you just can't have teams siloed off working in chaos. You need a single, coherent vision that ties everything together.
So the key takeaway here is that the orchestrator's job is to be that single point of integration. They take that huge, grand vision, and they translate it into clear, interconnected engineering missions that every single part of the organization can then execute in complete harmony.
Okay, so you've got the grand vision from the top. How is it actually executed? Well, it happens through 9 distinct high-level divisions. You should think of these less like traditional departments and more like the core sections of the orchestra, where each one is responsible for a critical area of innovation. And just look at the sheer breadth of this. It is a complete technical empire. You've got directorates for the foundational code, for AI, for next-gen graphics, even for cyber warfare. But just as importantly, you also have directorates for protecting the intellectual property, managing the brand, and even one that's dedicated to looking into the future with research and foresight. It's a totally holistic system.
So who actually populates these directorates? Well, not generalists. We're talking about a roster of highly specialized agents. These are the expert musicians, and each one is a master of one specific instrument or discipline.
In total, we're talking about nearly 60 distinct, specialized roles. That is an absolutely incredible level of detail.
Now, this structure creates what the source material calls a full-spectrum engineering agency. The idea here is that for every conceivable discipline you might need to build this empire, from kernel engineering all the way to legal contracts, there is a dedicated agent responsible for it. There are no gaps.
And the specificity of some of these roles is just fascinating. For example, you have a futurist research agent whose entire job is to explore upcoming technologies.
Then you've got a cyber simulation agent who's dedicated to designing hostile operations and digital sandboxes just to test the company's defenses.
And it's not all just deep tech. You also have a human interface storytelling agent whose role is to connect users to the company's mission through narrative and design. It's a complete ecosystem of specialists.
So, you've got the conductor, the orchestra sections, and the expert musicians. But how do you make sure they all play in perfect time from the very same sheet music? Well, that's where the harmony doctrine comes in.
This doctrine is basically the constitution of the entire enterprise. It's a simple but really powerful principle. Everything, from the grand vision down to the tiniest line of code, must be perfectly synchronized. It's the one rule that governs every single action taken by every single agent.
And this doctrine is put into practice through a super-disciplined repeating cycle. Every 2 weeks, the entire organization moves through this 4-phase loop. The orchestrator sets the objective, the directors delegate the tasks, the agents execute, and then the results are reviewed and integrated. It's this constant, rhythmic pulse of progress.
And here's how they avoid those dreaded silos. Agents don't just work within their directorates, they actually form cross-functional rings to tackle specific challenges. So, for example, the creative and product agents form a ring for innovation, while the cyber and legal agents collaborate on protection. This makes sure there's a constant flow of information between all the different disciplines.
Okay, so let's bring it all together now. This isn't some static org chart that you print out and stick on the wall. It's a living command matrix, a dynamic map of how the entire system actually performs in real time.
The difference here is absolutely fundamental. A traditional org chart just shows you who reports to whom. This command matrix does that, sure, but it also maps all the critical interdependencies. It's not about managing people. It's about synchronizing a complex system of roles and responsibilities.
And at the very heart of this synchronized system is what you might call a neural backbone. 3 key agents, the AI orchestration agent, the systems integration agent, and the telemetry agent, they form a triangle that connects every single division, managing intelligence, structure, and feedback across the entire enterprise.
So this creates the entire operational flow. Vision comes from the top down. Execution happens at the agent level. And this is the crucial part. Data on performance, bugs, and progress flows right back up, continuously, allowing the entire system to learn and adapt with every single 2-week cycle.
What we've just walked through is way more than just a company's structure. The source material calls it a complete synthetic enterprise architecture. It's a detailed, reproducible blueprint for building a totally new kind of organization, one designed specifically for the speed and complexity of our modern technological age.
And that leaves us with a final, really provocative thought. In an era where innovation is just accelerating like crazy and AI is becoming a core collaborator, is this highly structured, vision-led, and deeply synchronized model the future? Is this the blueprint for the 21st century company?